Hey again, everybody. Um, so we are back I'm back in my home state now, for Christmas. So I'm now recording this from my laptop. So video quality, video, frequency might be a little bit less, but, I will do my best with what I have. I've done it before, so shouldn't be too different. But, anyway, today I want to talk on a quote that I've seen, uh, a lot recently, around just various social media accounts, and a quote that just comes to my mind a lot. It's a quote from Charles Bukowski, and it says, "And when nobody wakes you up in the morning, and when nobody waits for you at night, and when you can do whatever you want, what do you call it? Freedom or loneliness?" And this is a very interesting way to look at both of these words, because we don't often associate, these words with one another, and maybe sometimes we even think that they are the opposite of each other. And so I kind of want to dissect those two, and kind of give my own perspective on what this quote is trying to say, and what I think we should be pulling from it. So to quickly define both of these first, um, and this is just from looking it up on Google. That loneliness, we'll start with that, is the feeling of being sad and unhappy about being socially isolated. So pretty obvious, pretty straightforward. When we lack social interaction and we are not around people that we feel are appreciative of our presence or our time, we feel lonely, and that loneliness is a combination of both sadness and regret and self-loathing. You know, it's a combination of a lot of bad things. And then freedom is the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. So, uh, both of those definitions are very, very different. And so, in the context of the quote, initially it doesn't really make sense, because we know that those two words are defined very differently. But I think what Bukowski is getting at, is that we are free from other people when we are alone. And although that may um, have the feeling of loneliness attached to it, that we are not being hindered or restrained by any other person. There is no one person who's telling us when to wake up, when to go to bed, when to do or what to do anything. And so, in that sense, we are free from the demands or the expectations of other people. Um, but is that what we want? Is that what freedom should be? And in my opinion, I don't think it is. I think you can feel freedom, even when you do have other people with you, when you do have other people's expectations on you. I think the feeling of freedom isn't completely being cut off from everything else to the point where your will is the only will. Um, I think freedom is in many different forms, and it's going to come and go in different aspects of our lives. And so, for example, um, uh, when you think of financial independence or uh, educational freedom, in that once you've attained a certain degree of education, then then you're kind of free to go out into the workforce, but you're not guaranteed to get a job. And so there's that kind of freedom of now I don't have to, I've already done school. I'm past that. Now I'm free to kind of figure out what I want to do with it. Well, you're not exactly free. And getting into the workforce past that point is no easy thing. And so what I'm saying is that there's little snippets of what is being defined here as freedom, everyone wants in a while, but there's never a complete, all-defining freedom, because to have that, literally nothing else could exist. Even gravity couldn't. And you couldn't define that as true freedom, because you're still being restrained by something. And so this also comes, though, I think, kind of one that's more relatable for a lot of people is relationship freedoms. And that there are people who, coming out of something, or when they are just single, it's easy to feel just the lonely part of the freedom. And being single can be something that is wonderful for one person who's in a very different place than a different person, and be completely destructive for somebody else who doesn't know how to be alone. So that loneliness comes from a lack of knowing what it feels like, or what it looks like for you to be by yourself. And kind of the being able to recognize what being alone looks like for you turns that loneliness into a sort of freedom. And like I said, it's not a complete freedom from anything and everything, but it's a freedom from any kind of constraint that other person may have had on you. And so it's a very powerful quote overall. I think it's getting at something that's very important and very crucial for us to keep in mind when we're going through things like that, and experiencing loneliness. But one thing, and this, I don't know if many of you are religious, or kind of what your faith is, but like, you'll hear a lot of Christians or people that believe in God say, well, you're never fully alone because God is always there. And that's I don't know exactly what my stance is on that, and I don't want to pull any sides, but I think it's true in multiple different ways. I think it's true that there is always someone out there who knows you, or who is aware of you, and so in that way, you always have somebody to speak to, and even if it's not somebody that you expect, that you can speak to. And I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to the feeling of complete isolation and complete loneliness, is that you feel like you have nobody to turn to. But that's because you're almost subconsciously telling yourself that, oh, well, this person isn't going to care. These people, I've only talked to them once. Like, they're not aware of what my situation is. And that may be true. They might not be aware. But you making those people aware of it, even if you think that they might not care, they can put you into contact with people who will, and you can free yourself from that loneliness. So I guess to kind of put a spin on the quote, you can either choose to call it freedom or loneliness, or you can free yourself from your own loneliness by redefining what being alone looks like for you. And it's not easy to learn that. And I haven't fully learned what that looks like for me. So it's a continuous effort, but take some time to be alone for a little while, and kind of see what your brain does, see where your mind wanders to, and that will show you who you really are, and who you are when nobody else is around. And maybe not during this time of year. Take the next couple weeks to be with family, be with people that you care about and that care about you. But if you don't have anybody that you're celebrating with, figure out what celebrating with yourself looks like, or you know, there's somebody out there who is aware of you. Um, but we have to love ourselves before we can love others. Um, so yeah, that's what I've been thinking about. I guess I thought about it on the plane, because I flew here with my brother and my sister-in-law, and we didn't sit in the same section of the plane. And I've traveled by myself before, but it was just kind of a, it's a different feeling when you're by yourself on a plane or some kind of transportation. And so I was thinking about this. But yeah, I'm glad to be home, and I'll be home for a little while. I'm not sure exactly what date I'll be flying back, but I have everything here that I need to continue to make these videos. And a couple of them have done pretty well recently. I have had a couple comments, like I do tend to ramble on a lot of these, so that's kind of the essence of what the video is sometimes. So yeah, I'm kind of making bullet points and trying to organize it overall a little bit better. But I hope you all still enjoy listening to them as much as I enjoy making them. So yeah, I hope you all are doing well, and I hope that this next week will be full of happy celebrations for you. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, I hope you are happy anyway. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.